Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our Hamilton County Commission staff meeting, February 27th, 2024. We're going to ask everyone to introduce themselves on the dais.
Christy Rischel, Assistant Clerk.
Leslie Hervey, Clerk to the Board.
Stephanie Summerall Dumas, Commissioner.
Good afternoon. I'm County Commissioner Denise Treehouse.
Jeff Lido, County Administrator.
Charlie Annis, Prosecutor's Office.
And I'm Hamilton County Commission President Alicia Reese. All right, first we have on our agenda our equity planning presentation. And I want to ask Director of our Economic Inclusion and Equity, Mr. Robert Bill, to come forward.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for having us. I'm going to start this a little differently than I usually do. In that it takes a village and a community to do the kind of work we're doing. So what I'd like to do is I want to talk about impacts first. I'll do it. You got it. And I'll get into some numbers and stuff like that afterwards. But, okay. and commissioners, this is a beginning. You know, I'm not saying we're not arrived, but people are really looking closely at us, at what's going on here. And I want to take a few minutes before I get into some of the meat of my stuff and have you hear what I'm hearing in the community about Hamilton County and what we've been doing. And so I'm going to call up, take the next slide. I'll do it. I'm going to call up Mr. Monroe Barnes to come and say a few words for us. Thank you, Bill.
Welcome, Mr. Barnes.
Thank y'all. Pleasure to be here. I just want to say first, local resident from Hamilton County my whole life, so I'm glad to be standing here. And I'll just say before your program, I'm president of MBJ Consultants. We worked on the riverfront with y'all for probably the last 20 years. So even before you had a program, I'm going to say the county still believed in equity and diversity. But I do believe bringing the program to the forefront is going to help. And I can just personally say, and I'll keep it short, but since Robert started the program, I've probably gotten 10 different calls from 10 different contractors that I've never worked for before. We will do one job with Kelly Brothers Roofing, like at your juvenile detention center, but I have seen some additional traction since you introduced the program, and we do appreciate that you being the county, bigger than the city, bigger than anybody else. I think that it needs to be a program, and that I'm happy to see that y'all are being more inclusive, formally inclusive. So I do thank you, and I can say I think the future is bright, and I can already say we're busy, but I believe with your program that we're even going to get busier. So I thank you three commissioners for stepping out and supporting diversity and inclusion and being serious about it. So thank you again.
Thank you. Before you leave, Mr. Barnes, I just want to, so there's people that's tuning in. What we're doing today is a presentation on our new MBE, WBE, and small business program that was passed last year about this time. And numbers were not great. We had to have a disparity study. Now we have a program. But I do want to also thank you because you deal with all the safety of our projects.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a chance to meet your folks on the Black Music Walk of Fame and then hear about all that you've done with the stadiums and different things. And then Mr. Ludo talking about how to play a bigger role with your company based on all of the work that you have done as we go into we've got a $39 million stadium situation that we're in right now in terms of redeveloping. And so I just think that's a huge deal. So I just want to thank you. And your folks do not play, because if it's not safe, they will shut it down. So thank you for having your folks there.
And I do want to thank y'all for including us in Paycor Stadium. And, you are demanding that I have a more inclusive role in it. So y'all will start seeing me at the meetings versus Nick Rosian as much. So hopefully I'll be much more involved in that project. And, you'll see more of me, and we'll have a bigger role than we had before. And I deeply appreciate y'all have been a stellar customer for us for the last 20 years. And really, those are the kind of customers that you need to succeed. One-offs don't get it. You have to have a steady customer that is willing to stick with you through it all. And for us, y'all have been that. So we deeply appreciate it. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Now I'd like to introduce Mr. Harris of Harris Architects, Bruce Harris. And he has some information he'd like to share with you. Thanks, Mr. Bell. Monroe. Push that when you're ready. Okay.
Good afternoon. Bruce Harris, President and CEO of Harris Architects. To follow up on what Monroe shared with you, the work that you've done is critical. It's important, it's on time, and it's on point. I too am a native of Hamilton County. My roots are here. My journey has been in a lot of different places. Great journey. But most importantly, it comes full circle. And what you've provided has made the county a place where everyone is taking notice across the state, and you need to know that. I've seen programs succeed, and I've seen them just kind of disappear, and you're becoming the North Star about what inclusion and equity inclusion is all about. Just put together something very, very brief to the point. This is what you've done for us in the architectural space, which is very important. Again, I'm supposed to do this right here. Nope, that's not it, the other way, okay. Again, just very briefly, native of Cincy, also a product of the great experiment, Walnut Hills High School. That's key. Mr. Barnes is a part of that great experiment. One of your commissioners is a part of that great experiment. And it's important because just like you're a North Star, Walnut Hills is a North Star because it believes in a bigger picture. It believes in what this county has always been about. It's all about inclusion. It's all about support and seeing the bigger picture. Graduate of the University of Cincinnati and the College of Architecture at the College of Design, Architecture, and Planning. First introduction into the process was by my neighbor, Mr. Henry Wilson. Had no clue what architecture and engineering was about. Mr. Wilson lived around the corner. He introduced me to what this field was all about and also introduced me to the great Senator Bill Bowen. I'll touch on that as we go forward. So with Henry's organization, we did a lot of great things. I was recruited out of Cincinnati to MBBJ. MBBJ had multiple offices across the nation, one of which was in Columbus, Ohio. So they recruited me there. I became the first registered African-American architect in the history of MBBJ in the state of Ohio. Doors opened up, and they saw, because of the product of that great experiment, Walnut Hills High School, they allowed me to grow and blossom. So we just kind of went on. I got a lot of phone calls, as Mr. Bell would share with you, and decided to take a partnership and a relationship with Moody Nolan. The Moody Nolan that you see today is in part and parcel by the person that you're looking at because of the great experiment of Walnut Hills High School. 27 years ago, I got another call. They were like, Commissioner Dumas, we need to see more African Americans in that space. Mr. Harris, let's give it a shot. Open your own organization. So we did that, and we've enjoyed a very successful 27-year venture through the process. So that's just about big-minded people making a way, like you've done for Monroe and for others in this field, a chance for us to become a part of the fabric that we've built. We're a part of all of this. The logic behind making the progress work is simply there. What has Hamilton County done for Bruce Harris? Big-minded people. KZF Design and I have known each other for over 40, 50 years. Synergies of excellence, which is what KZF brings, and their desire to be inclusive brought together our team for the 911 emergency management facility. Our relationship happened all the way through that project, from programming all the way through bid documents, et cetera. We were seamless in the effort, and we've operated that way literally for the past 15 years on multiple projects across the nation. Just recently, a recent award, and it was just brought up, the KZF Harris team, again in a collaboration, we were awarded the Hamilton County Stadium projects. Monroe just spoke about the opportunities for the next scenarios that are coming up. We're the design team on that. So it's that, again, type of big-mindedness that the commissioners put together through Mr. Bell's team that allows folks like me and my organizations to not only grow and flourish, but to plant the seed for the future. And that's what we're doing. Big-mindedness, okay? Why is Hamilton County ahead of the rest? You're a major league city. You think that way. You have templates and precedents of what major league means. It means you see the bigger picture and what collaborations can afford. You understand the positives of inclusions. A lot of urban centers don't get it. They don't want to get it. You've embraced it, and the results are obvious. You made the capital investment with the diversity study. The numbers are the numbers. The values are what they are. Your goal is to bring everyone into the fold, and you've accomplished that. Again, the great Senator Bill Bowen, House Bill 584. If it wasn't for Bill Bowen, there would be less than a handful of minority and African American and women-owned firms as businesses in the state of Ohio. Senator Bill Bowen and 2 or 3 others made that happen, and that's a memory and an understanding that should never be forgotten. You're present in the selection process, okay? Mr. Bell's team has a seat at the table where the sausage is made, where decisions occur. I've been in places where they have taken that voice away, and the opportunity for inclusion across the board disappeared in the result of awards to minorities and women. And all you gotta do is look at the statistics. They speak for themselves. That's why you should be commended by investing in Mr. Bell and his team so that all boats rise in this thing. The numbers that you have, they're just a placeholder. Your objective is to exceed those numbers. And you will, because people are now looking at Hamilton County as a place where they want to come. And they want to invest, and they want to stay. And that's huge. It is huge. Fearless leadership. That's what all of you bring to the table. You're fearless. Yes, there's going to be opposition. That's fine. But without that type of fearless leadership and not pressing to move forward against the odds, you'll never go. You'll never grow. You'll regress like other municipalities in this city have done. Don't do that, because since Cincinnati and Hamilton County is bigger than that, always has been. I put that picture up, the 76 world champions. I did it for a reason. Look at the faces. 100% diversity, 100% representation in ethnicity. World champions. That's what Hamilton County is. That's our roots. That's who we are. A couple of those guys grew up in my neighborhood. The Griffeys, Perez, Cardenas, they were all out in my little area. We looked up to those guys when we were little. But because we have that mindset here, it's something that we can play off of, and we should. Hamilton County is outpacing the other cities in this state, and you're to be commended. And it's great being a Bearcat. So that's what I like to share. And also, Sir Samad Sumo. That's the end. Thank you.
Now that you've seen some results, it's a beginning. That to me, that's what it is. But I have to share something with you. It's called PSPE. And we talk about he mentioned the framework that we use, and I want to talk a little bit about the framework. And PSPE stands for policies, strategies, practices, and expectations. And we've used that as a roadmap for how we put these programs together. Not only the small business program, but all of our programs are under the equity framework. And we see that as a roadmap for us to get these kind of results done, because we're really talking about organizational change. And what Bruce and Monroe talked about was none of this happens without organizational will and political will. And that's what we have to have, and that's what you folks bring to this. And this has enabled us to get to some of the areas that we have gotten to, and we're really happy and joyful for that. And so are my companies that call me. I get calls all the time now. Just like Bruce said, people are calling me. Why are they calling me? Well, because you got goals in all these contracts, and they're calling and responding to it. So we're happy about that. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of other things. What did I do? Okay. We did a trend chart of some of our spending, and again, it's a beginning, but we began to see a slow, steady rise back in 2020, and that was because we were beginning to change expectations as well, and because the disparity study didn't happen finished till 2022. But what it's showing us with that projection is where we're going to go. People use those trend lines to project as well as to see where you are. So we're really happy about that. It's also gone viral. I sent it to my community partners, and it had gone viral. I got calls from the city manager, the council people, the state of Ohio, Department of Development, ODOT, a lot of other ones just wanting to know. And I said, well, it's just the beginning, y'all. It's just the beginning. You know what they told me? We want a beginning. We want a beginning. So let me just share a couple of other things on what our strategy is. And the strategy for us is called the Equity Framework. And everybody knows that talk to me knows where I got it from, GARE, Government Alliance on Race and Equity. And these are the principles that we put in everything we do right now, and including the work that I do and Gab and I have done with the small business stuff, but all of our programs, Inspire programs, Commission on Women and Girls, all of them, Inspire, Office of Family Voice now that we're putting together, all of those are integrating these principles, and we're very adamant about that, and we're very sincere about it. And one of the things is making the people we serve partners with us. 513 Relief is our poster child of that kind of attitude, but so is Commissioner Driehaus's Commission on Women and Girls. I've been to those meetings, Commissioner, and they empower, the rest of the women in there, empower those young girls. I mean, it's just amazing what they do. And it's amazing what Trevina and her crew do in those communities with those folks and how much they respond to the needs. And the whole thing about one size does not fit all, and we engage the community. We see that through all of our programs now, and I'm adamant about that. They have to report to me how they're doing that kind of thing, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But those are our key framework, and to me that's our yellow brick road to the Emerald City. You know, true economic inclusion in Hamilton County, and I really appreciate the political support, the organizational support that you guys give us. Jeff has got the quarterly report from the past quarter. He's going to give that to you later, but we're working hard right now to integrate the new reporting system analysis and reporting analysis with the brand new software. But you'll get the regular report in a little while from the last quarter. But we're looking forward to that software being able to give us fabulous reports and all the exact things we want to do. But we're still working out the fine details of that. So I beg your patience a little bit on that. But this thing has taken on a life of its own. I mean, we can tell, and other people are telling me that. And it's all because of the efforts that we do. The one thing I have to tell you though, I didn't do it by myself. So what I'd like to do, this is a tradition of mine now, I want to call my staff up here, and I want them just to tell the audience on who's listening in who they are, their programs, and their titles. So come on up. It takes a village.
Hi, I'm Alice Bledsoe. I am the program coordinator of the Inspire Youth Initiative grants.
My name is Gabrielle Whaler. I'm the Small Business Utilization Coordinator, and I help Robert with the disparity study implementation.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Latalia White. I am the Senior Program Administrator for the Office of Family Voice.
I am Trevina Adams, the Program Manager for the 513 Relief Bus, and this is my faithful sidekick, Scott. He is our bus operator. So we are the 513 Relief Program. I'm the program manager. He's the operator.
That's part of my community, so give him a hand.
We got one more.
Oh, well, Mary, I'm sorry.
We got Mary.
Oh, this is an important part of our community.
Last but not forgotten, no. Mary Mounty. I'm with the Commission on Women and Girls.
Let me have that. I can't say enough about. But I have two more people to call up. Holly Christman and Sarah. Could you come up? And I want you to be out here where the camera can see you. Where's Holly? I want you to tell people who you are and what you do for Hamilton County. Because Sarah has been tremendous with our Inspire program, and she's really helped us navigate some very difficult times with that. And we just want to say thank you for it.
Okay, I didn't expect to come up, but I am Sarah Adams, and I am the grant administrator for the American Rescue Plan funding, and Inspire and the 513 bus are actually some of the funding that the ARPA program has been able to assist with within Hamilton County. They're both amazing programs. I love working with this amazing team behind us for this program, and now I will introduce my wonderful boss, Holly Christman.
Good afternoon, Holly Christman, Assistant County Administrator. I just want to thank Robert. When we first received the American Rescue Plan Act, we worked closely on the equity framework with the before the dollars were recommended for disbursement. So thank you.
I'm going to stay here for a second. I wanted to thank them because, and Holly too, because she came to us and said we need to make sure that we're doing equitable work and supporting the community equitably. And we had some suggestions. We worked with some consultants on the side. And the second and third round of those small business grants were just amazing. And I'd like to recognize them during Black History Month for all the stuff that they've done to help minority and marginalized communities. They've done a lot. So I want to give them a hand too. Give them a hand. So Bruce stole my thunder a little bit with this, and I'm just going to share this with you. I know I'm taking probably longer than I should, but that was me. One of the things that I started back on that chart that you saw, that trend chart back in 2020, was having meetings with all the departments around the equity framework. And it was a training we did about what true equity is and what it entails: community engagement, seeing your customers as partnerships, the whole thing, engaging people, getting out of the community. And I had departments answer that question, and it created some real discussions and some amazing things for especially some of the departments really took it and ran with it. And that was, how can we understand the needs of and provide effective services to all segments of Hamilton County diverse community? And one of the things a lot of them had to say was, we don't know. But that started the conversation, and we began to move forward with that. When I sent out that trend line, like I said, it went viral, and I got calls from everywhere. And I kept telling people again, it was just a beginning, and they said, Robert, we want a beginning. I said, well, how do you do it? So I'm talking to folks regularly now about our equity framework and some of the stuff that we've done. But I also like the North Star piece, because it's our roadmap. Equity framework is our roadmap. And I'm really touched by the North Star analogy for two reasons. One is that you probably know that historically, that's how middle-aged navigators on the oceans sailed at night. But what else historically in American history was that invaluable for? Underground Railroad. And if you look at where the stations of Underground Railroad were situated, they followed the North Star. Okay? And so that's very personal to me. And so we use that as our guideline. So thank you for giving me this time. Thank you for your support and continued support for what we do. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, but don't go anywhere. It's not over. I'm going to open it up, Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the team. I can't see all of you behind the podium, but I know you're there. Thanks for coming in. Thanks to all of you for the testimony that you provided to help us better understand where we are at this moment in time in Hamilton County. Because, Robert, as you said, this started as a one-person shop a number of years ago with an idea that we could do better in Hamilton County, and we needed to do better to make sure that everyone felt welcome to do business with Hamilton County and work with and for Hamilton County. And so while leadership is important on all levels, it was extremely important at your level that you are the leader that you are and created the BOLD initiative before we had the disparity study available to us that didn't hinder you. And you said, well, we've got other strategies we can employ while we're waiting to have that disparity study conclude and have the results of that come forward. So the BOLD list is something I brag about all the time. That ARPA dollars that we distributed, we learned a lot by way of the small business piece of that, and we did better because we were well informed as we moved through that process and hit our target was always minority-owned, women-owned businesses that were small, that didn't get the benefit of the PPP from the federal government, and that is exactly the target we hit with your help and help of others in this community that are in this space, saying to us, here's how do you strategize around that, and how do you hit the mark, and we did. And it was only because it was informed and we were so intentional about what we were doing, and you were a huge part of that. So I'm grateful for the partnership. I'm just, look, it's all good news today. I'm just delighted that you're here. I know that they were bragging about you over at City Hall. A little jealous about that. It's like, wait a minute. We need to bring the team in, because I think sometimes we forget because we're in the middle of the work and we're the ones kind of seeing it on a more regular basis. We forget that we need to take a minute and recognize the progress that's being made and what our future looks like. As you say, the North Star, analogy is a good one. So I'm just happy to have you in and help us to continue to not only better understand what is happening here in Hamilton County, but brag about it a little bit because I think it's well deserved. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you. Thank both of you for your presentations, Mr. Monroe and Mr. Harris. I thank you for not giving up. You paved the way for all of this. You laid the foundation, and you knew that things could be better. I appreciate you explaining how it was at the beginning. You were included, but there were so many that were not included, and you were determined to pave a way for more people to come on board, because there are many qualified minorities that can do the job. So I thank you once again for not giving up. And the team that's here, you just have the greatest team. Because no matter what, they are always so positive. And there are, in the road, there are things that they maybe have to deal with longer or, obstacles in the road. But I have found them to be just so positive and so passionate about what they do. And you could not have a better staff. So.
Thank you. I agree.
I'm just letting you know they're not just like that with you. But, I watch them.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know she does.
Yeah.
She's back there with us.
Right. But also, Mr. Bell, I remember when I came in 19, and then you were telling me what your role was, diversity and inclusion. I said, just you? Where's your staff? You're doing all of this big task yourself. And of course, administration was supportive of what you were doing. But when you look at that roadmap, I started to stop you in the middle because it is so impressive what you've done. And I don't take it lightly. And as you were saying, the city doesn't take it lightly, or nationally, they don't take it lightly. So you should be very proud and sleep well at night. I'm thinking because you had goals, of course. The BOLD list was one of them. And so, as you said, this is just the beginning, because I know you're going to say that after I say all this great stuff about you. But you have come so far and done so much. Because, and I'll repeat the story, when I first came in 19, I asked to be in on those bidding meetings, and I thought maybe I can stop whatever's going on and we can get more minorities. And I was so naive thinking that that was going to happen. Most of the people in the room already knew about what was going on as it relates to bidding. So then came Robert Bell. And you looked at the system and how we can make the system better. We had, of course, a diversity study that we've never had, and we're going to move forward on that. So this is what Hamilton County is all about. I mean, equality and making sure the people that can do the work are offered the work and not just talk about it, but be about it. So I just thank you so much for what all you've done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bell, and I'm sure we can get a proclamation together as well, Bell. But let me just say, first of all, thank you for all your work. I want to thank your entire team because now the equity and inclusion has multiple directions, and we're going to need multiple people to handle all of those directions. I want to also thank Mr. Monroe, Mr. Harris for coming and testifying. I'm very familiar with the House bill that happened in the state legislature before I got there. However, I became Black Caucus president, and over the years, what happens is those programs start to die off. We were down to less than we were at 1.9%. So we had passed the bill, we had had the strategy. Yeah. And then, but I kept hearing from companies all over the state of Ohio, Black companies, women-owned companies that said, we got the bill, but after we got the bill a couple years, when Senator Bowen and others had left, and then new people come in and they don't necessarily have all of the background of how it happened, we began to go from an area that was a state that was inclusive with a historic bill that had never been done before. In fact, we're still the only state that has goods and services with a set aside. But what happened when I got there is there was years and years and years of decline, and then they defunded the offices that's supposed to be doing the things. And so after the celebration and the ribbon cutting and the hand clapping and the recognition from governors prior to, it faded out. And it got down to 1.9%, had never been realized. It was a goal. And so I remember working with and challenging, not just working with, challenging, because you don't get nothing without a challenge. And challenging as the president of the Black Caucus at that time, and we had a meeting with John Kasich, who was the governor. And we said, we got to move from talking and awards to why are we at 1.9%? And so we were able to work together and get a deal, and we went to 19%, the largest in the history of the state of Ohio. So when I come to these positions, for me, I want to make sure, and I'm interested in making sure that Robert Bell has the tools, and we have said that you have the backing to help, but we've got to understand where we had to come from. When I just got here, we was at $1,400 in one of those reports out of 16 million. And my philosophy has been and will continue to be, there cannot be taxation without participation. We just had a bunch of people come down for home taxes that they're concerned about, and it was diverse people in here. When you get on the elevator and you go down, they don't care what color you are, you got to pay some property taxes. When you go and buy something, there's a sales tax we get. They don't care what color you are, we're getting your sales tax. So hotel, if you come and stay at the hotel, they don't care what color you are, you paying some hotel tax, and we're getting it. We've got $1 billion budget. And so I am very committed, and as I was at the state, as I was when I was at the city, because I understand they're working out some issues. These disparity studies have to be every 5 years. It's unfortunate that this group of people got to prove who you are, except on tax day. Uncle Sam knows who you are. You don't have to prove. You got to pay. And I'm saying we can't be just equal on tax day and unequal every other day. And so with this, I am very interested in the numbers, as we have had some things and we're expanding. We have some things we're doing in real estate. We got a lot of things to talk about that we have been able to do because we had to come from such a far way in the county. 200 years we've been spending money. 200 years. So we've done a lot. I know you highlighted some, but we've done some things in real estate. We've done some things in investment bonding. I think having some report out on those things too that may not have had to be bid out. We've done some things, even you go out there and get some snacks now. You've got a African-American vendor that we now can do the potato chips and pretzels. We couldn't do that before. So having that type of report that we can get out publicly, I think will help. But I know that we only have 5 years to get something done. So we got to move quick, because then the next disparity study comes out, and then they say, well, now we go in the opposite direction, as we're seeing in some of these other locations. So I would love to get that information and have it public, because I think, Mr. Bell, you know, we've had to come from all the way from the bottom. We understand that we want to do more, but we have done a lot of things that we have never done before. And so I'd like to have that more out publicly, because that's what your ROI is. People say, well, what are you doing? It's an ROI. So I'd like to have something where we can get that, Mr. Aludo, to add in those other ones, Loop Capital and J.R. Foster with real estate, all these different things, because I think if people start to see here's where we came from, all the work that you and your team are doing are fantastic, because we have to change the mindset. I want this to be the DNA. I don't want this, I got to put it because you done forgot about us. No, we're changing it. We want this to be the way we do business, is in the DNA. And I know that's something you always say as well, Mr. Bell. But those are the things I think, if we have that out so that everybody can see there's a lot more that you have impacted and you've done. And having a seat at the table, you're right, because at first you weren't at the table. You were not in the selection process with the procurement office. You were not in these positions when they're hiring people. And I want to thank Mr. Aludo, because that's one of the things I brought up, and I'm glad that you are at the table, you know, to do what you have an expertise at doing. So I think it's great. I just want to have that report out, so we can have not just email to the inclusion group, but I want the whole county to know, because there may be other municipalities that want to do what we do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you all. I'd just like to say one other thing.
Yeah.
Just a special thanks to Jeff. The reason is because Jeff and I work very well together. Jeff really listens. You know, when I kind of come to him like, Jeff. I remember one time I went to him and I said, Jeff, I don't complain a lot. And he said, you're getting ready to complain. But he always asks me, what do I need? And so I want to give a shout out to Jeff, because he's been a great boss to work for, and he's been extremely supportive. And that's where the administrative and political will also comes from, is that point. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
Just a real quick word. The fearlessness is important, so thank you. The investment is important. I'd be remiss to not share with you Mr. Cisco Dowdell. The Dowdell family set a foundation for Black people in Hamilton County years ago, his father, where he shattered glass ceilings. Cisco Dowdell's father. Mr. Monroe Barnes was one of the first examples of Black business for us. There wasn't an African-American young man in Cincinnati who didn't go to his father to get his hair cut.
We know about the Barnes Barbershop. I just got a big mural at Madisonville.
Right. Their fathers were our role models. So you're planting seeds in good ground. Keep doing the work.
Thank you all. We really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for all the hard work, because you guys make it happen. So thank you. Let's give them another round of applause. Okay, we got our next subject. I know y'all might have to get going. We understand. If you want to stay, you can, but we have another presentation. Thank you. All right, item number 2, East Branch, Ohio River and Scepter.
Hi, Commissioners. I'm Ryan Welsh, MSD Chief Engineer. We're not here today to ask for any approval for anything, but we were asked to come and talk about a project. I have the MSD Director, Diana Christie, is here today. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
And also James Winley, Senior Engineer. I'm going to turn the microphone over to James here in a moment. I'll say a few words, just introduce the project first. James is the project manager for MSD. Do we have the slide that we can put up? So this project didn't exist before about a year and a half ago. It's an ODOT collaborative project. It's very unique. We've never had a project like this. It won't cost our ratepayers a dime because we're going to do a project and to get paid by ODOT to do it. It will benefit MSD because it's going to remove combined sewer overflow and help us with our consent decree compliance and help to make our infrastructure better. We talked about this project in front of you guys the last time during our budget hearings, I believe, for the CIP budget. We've come quite a long way since then with ODOT. They're very interested in doing this. We had a meeting, Commissioner Driehaus attended, as well as the county administration at City Hall with two council members and their staffs in the Sierra Club about a month ago to give them an update. And this update is for you all. And I think in about a month, we're going to have an agreement ready that will, I think, require a resolution. So it'll be an agreement with ODOT. Charlie from the prosecutor has been involved reviewing this, and it's with the city law department under review right now as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to James, and he can talk more about the technical details.
Afternoon, Commissioners. As Ryan mentioned, this project, I'll take it a step further than unique. It's really unprecedented, the amount of collaboration that's being presented here with the overlap in the capital spending that the Department of Transportation and ODOT's going to be doing through this corridor in the next 5 to 10 years with the Brent Spence Bridge Companion Bridge and then the widening of 75 as well. One of the core tenets to this project is that the state is going to be separating out their stormwater from our combined sewer system as part of this project. So this is where MSD came in, and we provided essentially the conduit for them to be able to separate and get the stormwaters off of the infrastructure, public infrastructure, roadways, and be able to convey it safely to receiving bodies. So as Ryan mentioned, this has really been going on, as anybody involved in government knows, the speculation about the Brent Spence Bridge and 75 work has been going on for decades. So it's exciting that we're finally seemingly to a point where not only will that work be done from the above ground infrastructure, but from MSD's perspective, the below ground infrastructure, it presents us with a great opportunity to remove approximately 140 acres of drainage area from the combined sewer system, and that equates to about 100 million gallons per year. So this is a substantial benefit that could be seen to our collection system, and again, to reiterate, at no cost to the ratepayer. This project is being designed and would be the construction would be overseen by Metropolitan Sewer District, and the funding for the project would come from ODOT. As far as the status goes, the design, as we've mentioned, is underway. The intergovernmental agreement with ODOT is underway as well. I think we can reasonably assume that we'll have something agreed to in principle by end of March, early April, and then we can start moving forward towards finishing up the design and buttoning up all those type of details. So I guess one other benefit that isn't inherent to this is with the commitment that we have to spend capital funds for an increased capacity pump station at our Mill Creek treatment facility and subsequently a high rate treatment facility there. This will enable us to send more flow there and then utilize the capital investments that we're committing to, be able to utilize those better.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Director Christie, did you have anything you wanted to add to the presentation?
Well, thanks to James and Ryan, they're really closer to some of the technical aspects of this because it's been a collaborative project than our typical projects. But I just wanted to reiterate the impact here, where we are actually going to be reducing some of our combined sewer overflows. So I know it was mentioned, generally speaking, the removal of the stormwater from our system, meaning we will not have to treat it, but we are also actually achieving CSO compliance obligations that we have under the consent decree, under the WIP, by engaging in this work and proceeding with the project. So just wanted to make that clear as well. But yes, I think, again, as Ryan pointed out in the beginning, we're at a stage right now where this is in the design, and we're still reaching agreement with ODOT, and once that is close to finalized, it would be presented to the commission for that step to proceed. But I think other than that, we're happy to take questions or dive deeper into any of the particular aspects of the project.
Commissioner Drees, do you have any questions?
So thanks for the presentation. Appreciate it. I did attend a meeting regarding this, so you have a little bit of background. The project that you're describing, the idea here is that this additional runoff is being created because of the Brent Spence Bridge project. And so ODOT is paying for this work because of the nexus there. But I hear what you're saying is it doesn't only do that, but rather also addresses some of our needs near this area, the reduction, the CSO, for instance. So could you elaborate just a little bit, because obviously this is removing this runoff that's being created through the project, but these other benefits I think are important to note by way of both consent decree with the CSOs. Is there any asset management benefit here also? I mean, could you just elaborate a little bit as it interplays with the overall sewer system and how you're kind of using this project to help in a couple of different ways?
Let me start by the first part of the question, and then Ryan can dive into the asset management side. But so the ODOT's obligations with their construction, and the widening of 75 and the Brent Spence Bridge obviously are related to the conveyance of that stormwater that runs off the highway today and that will in the future. So they have to have a solution in their project for where that stormwater, for managing that stormwater properly. And just kind of rewinding a little bit, they had preliminarily identified a solution that would have just taken that stormwater directly from the highway runoff and pumped it and built a very large pump station and not taken it to our treatment plant. So they had identified a solution that was very costly for them, but that was somewhat straightforward from a construction and engineering standpoint, and that pumped stormwater would have just been then discharged directly to the Ohio River. So that was an early, not that early, but not that long ago, ODOT's approach, and really it was our engineering team and Ryan, approaching them and saying, if we collaborate and provide you with a different solution, it would be a lot cheaper for you, ODOT, than building that very large pump station that takes a lot of energy and just takes the stormwater outside of our system. That provides these benefits to us and is a cheaper solution for ODOT. And so I've let Ryan talk about that concept a little bit more, maybe just to pull it all together to your questions. So
it really is to help us better understand the benefits that you're referring to.
Yeah, I'll add a little more. So yeah, if this project, if we weren't doing this collaborative project, ODOT would go their own way. They would build a giant pump station near Gus Street by the Frisch's next to the highway there, and they would pump everything to the Ohio River. In our system, they would still remove some stormwater from our system, but no work would happen on our sewers to benefit them. What's going to happen here is ODOT will pay to rehabilitate the existing McLean Street outfall, which is over 100 years old, about 120 years old, I think. It'll be dedicated then for stormwater, and then we're going to install what's called a dynamic underflow control gate to divert as much flow as possible to the treatment plant for treatment. This actually eliminates 2 combined sewer overflows, and we're going to redirect flow so that we can pick that up at the treatment plant and make full use of the new pump station that's currently under design. That is a consent decree project. There's a deadline requirement to design that project. So this will help. Doing this with ODOT will help make our assets perform better and improve that 120-year-old sewer that, if we didn't do this project, then there are no plans for us to upgrade it. So.
Just one follow-up to that. Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. What it does, it seems contradictory to me when you think about adding more stormwater into the system, into the treatment system, and how that is a benefit to the overall system.
So this is a stormwater separation project. Right now, the stormwater, every drop of rain that falls on this section of I-75 makes its way into our sewers. So this will separate the stormwater flow from the wastewater flow. So it won't go to the wastewater treatment plant. It'll go straight to the Ohio River by gravity. And what I was mentioning is what remains in the sewer system we'll be able to divert to our treatment plant and capture that more effectively. Okay. But yeah, this is, we're not bringing more stormwater to the treatment plant. Yeah. We're doing a project
That's what it sounded like. I'm like, wait a minute.
Glad I got to clarify that.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Commissioner Dumas?
Thank you. Thanks for your presentation. And I understand the benefits as you explained them pretty simply. But I heard twice there will not be a cost to our ratepayers because ODOT is handling this. I heard it twice, but I didn't hear the big boss say it when she got up there. You're in agreement that there will not yet. She's saying yes. And so you can say it for her.
Yeah. So what the draft agreement and everyone, seems to agree on. They will pay, and they will pay an overhead fee. We're negotiating the percent of overhead. So I think the construction cost right now is projected to be $130 million. And then they will pay overhead on top of that for my time and James's time and anyone else at MSD who's working on it. We are going to bid the project, award it, manage the construction, and it'll be on a reimbursement basis. So we will be coming here at some point, and we will need an appropriation to enter into the contract in the way ODOT can't. They can't advance the funds, so they'll have to reimburse us maybe on a monthly basis or however that'll be. But it'll be full reimbursement with a overhead. So there is truly no cost.
Okay. Commissioner Dumas, I just wanted to, you are correct. I didn't say that, and I think it's the part of me that would like that agreement to be finalized and signed. That we are very, pleased with the terms of the negotiations, and it's been very collaborative. But once it is signed and we have that final agreement, I think I will stand here and say the impact of the costs.
Well, that's great. Thank you. And we may even need a press release on this specific project because we always hear about MSD, and it's not one of our favorite things to hear about. And as we look at rate increases possibly and all of that, it would be good to know that this is one project that ratepayers are not going to be responsible for. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I just want to make sure on the bid process, the inclusion piece, I don't know what I really don't know what MSD's standards are, but I just want to make sure that's going to be a part of it.
So this project will be bid, by, as he said, by MSD. And so our current program, we have a currently established and approved SBE program. We are still in the process of implementing the MSD portion of the disparity study on our own end, and that's something that the status of I'd have to follow up on. in terms of, where we are from when that disparity study came out and actually implementing those goals. So typically our projects, this will be bid out following all of our existing guidelines.
Yeah.
Primarily this.
I would like to know when you're going to be done with the disparity piece, because a lot of times when you don't have it, even though I know ODOT, I'm challenging ODOT, as well on these projects, Brent Spence Bridge and all those things. I'm challenging them on local jobs. I'm challenging them on because there's a big opportunity to make sure that minority businesses like these gentlemen that were here earlier or whoever else, and every time we have MSD, we kind of just, of course, our number one thing is the ratepayers. We're trying to keep that cost down. But there's, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars that's coming through here. And you're not on our plan with although you voluntarily, that's why this structure is so crazy, because if you were under us, then you would be under Robert Bell. But there's no, all this money's coming through. And again, MSD is another one that it doesn't matter what you look like and who you are, you got a bill. Everybody's got a bill to pay, and you're collecting from diverse people. And I don't want taxation without participation. So I know a lot of us had small business programs, and usually it left out women, it left out African Americans and others under those programs. So I just need to know, where is the disparity finishing for you? When will that implement? And then if we're coming with this, because I don't want to get on ODOT and they say, well, your MSD ain't doing nothing. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not saying you have to answer it today, but I wanted to put that out there, especially since we just had that presentation before you.
Yes, we'd be happy to follow up with the administration and report back onto the status of implementation of that.
Great.
Here in the next few weeks.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Did either of you have anything else? I'm sorry. Okay. And where are we at now? We're just waiting for you to come back with your negotiation.
Yeah, the agreement is under review, but pretty close. And in the meantime, the design of this project is in full swing. Yes. So there's still work taking place in terms of completing the design. So.
Yeah, because even on the design, we got architects, we got people everywhere. I just don't want this to go on down the road, and then because you even said I got to check on this disparity. I don't know, I forgot about it. So just please, the quicker we can make sure everybody can be in, the better I feel.
Chief Engineer Welsh just said that the project is scheduled to be bid in 2026. So at least for the construction, we got some time. So.
Good. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for the update. Okay, now I'll make a motion to go into executive session 12122G4 to discuss collective bargaining, and then 12122, another G4, to discuss collective bargaining.
Second. Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.